Hey everyone, and welcome to another fragrance review. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're going to be taking a look at a designer fragrance. This is a fragrance from the house of Calvin Klein, and the fragrance is of course called CK1 Summer 2014. So this is the 2014 edition of that fragrance. So this fragrance was obviously released this year, 2014. The perfumers for this fragrance unfortunately have not been made available to the public. I know with the original CK1, which was released back in 1994, the perfumers were Alberto Morillas and Harry Fremont. So the two worked in collaboration with each other. Of course, Alberto Morillas has done many other classic masculine fragrances. I know he's done Bulgari for Men, the original Bulgari. He's done Pai by Givenchy. He's also done Acqua di Gio by Giorgio Armani, as well as some niche like Vanille 44 and so on and so forth. Now with Harry Fremont, I believe his most notable composition is one for the house of Tom Ford, part of the private blend line called Tuscan Leather. So they both have a lot of experience in both the designer and niche branches of the fragrance industry, and they could very well be the ones who put this composition together, but the original DNA is in the background of this fragrance, so I'm still going to credit them in that way. So of course with this fragrance, it seems like every year since the year 2004, they've been releasing a new summer fragrance. Of course, they started releasing summer flankers in 2004 as a 10th year anniversary type of a thing, and then I guess it was successful, so they decided to take it and make it an annual thing. So every year since 2004, they have been releasing a summer fragrance, which seems to be nothing more than the original composition with some fresh notes added into it. But it's not just citrus to kind of like adulterate it or water it down. They actually do things that are different. So I know in 2004, with the first summer rendition of CK1, I think they used a note of kiwi with like assorted citrus. The year after that, I think they highlighted the note of mandarin orange. I know last year they did cucumber and watermelon. Pretty cool looking bottle actually. I think it was inspired by a waterfall. And now this year they decided to take the note of melon and the note of coconut. So it's not really going to be like a citrusy fresh type of a fragrance, even though it does contain the note of lime and the note of grapefruit. There seems to be more of an emphasis on the fruity notes, but with a twist, an alcoholic twist. They decided to use the note of tequila in this fragrance to kind of make it evocative of like a tequila cocktail. So I'm going to let you know what I think of this smell and what I think it smells like. But next up, let's take a look at the presentation for CK1 Summer 2014 by Calvin Klein. CK1 Summer 2014 by Calvin Klein is available in one concentration, and that's Eau de Toilette. And this fragrance is only available in the 100 milliliter bottle or 3.4 ounces. This actually retails for about $55. I'm sure in a few months you'll be able to find it for much cheaper than that. So first up, let's take a look at the box. It pretty much follows suit with all the other CK1 boxes. Keep in mind this is a flanker of it, except it's adorned in this like turquoise and teal color. Pretty cool looking. It has like a high luster to it. You have CK1 Summer written here in the front. It doesn't have the year written anywhere on it, except probably somewhere in the back here, maybe in like a fine print somewhere. But yeah, so if you're looking for it, really the only way to really discern or delineate which one is which is to take a look at the colors and the pattern on the box. So that's it. Information on the back, UPC code, serial number at the bottom, and then you have Calvin Klein written at the very top. Now I know you may hear it rattling, and that's because, as with all CK1 fragrances, let me open this up, it actually contains a splash cap. So if you don't like the atomizer on your bottle, it actually comes with this on there, so you can use it as a splash. I don't know why people would. It is an eau de toilette. If it were like an aftershave or an eau de cologne, maybe, but I prefer to have the atomizer on there. It just serves for better application in my opinion. So except this does not come with the cap, even though this is threaded. This is only threaded for like artistic reasons. So if you try to put the cap on, it's not going to go on. Please do not force it. You're not going to have any success with that. So here's the bottle. Pretty much looks like the other CK1 bottles. I know last year was a really cool one. It was inspired by a waterfall that actually had drops all over it. This one just says CK1 Summer, same color pattern, Calvin Klein down here at the bottom. Some more information at the very bottom here, which should coincide with the ones found on the bottom of the box. Nothing going on at the back. And then you have your atomizer up here. Really good distribution. It doesn't spray out a lot of juice though. The distribution is great, but I kind of wish it sprayed out a little bit more juice, especially considering it's only an eau de toilette. But good presentation nonetheless, nothing too fancy, and that has pretty much been it for CK1 Summer 2014. Now, what you'll get in the opening of this fragrance when it first opens up is, of course, a little bit of citrus. There's a lot of citrus, actually, not just a little bit. I know grapefruit is listed as a note, lime is listed as a note. I can't really tell if there's too much grapefruit per se. I know it smells citrusy in the opening, especially after that alcoholic-y, strong opening has died out. But I can't really say there's too much grapefruit per se. I definitely do pick up on a lot of lime, and I think that's what they were going for, mixing in the lime with a little bit of salt. Believe it or not, this fragrance does smell a little salty to me, and then that in combination with, you know, the melon notes and the tequila note that this fragrance purportedly contains, it's supposed to kind of make this margarita accord, I think, or at least that's what I think. I know they say tequila cocktail, but not necessarily margarita, but that's kind of what I'm picking up from this fragrance. I know it opens up with a little bit of citrus. I do think that lime is the most dominant citrus note. There is a lime in this fragrance. Does it smell very natural? No, I don't think so. Have I smelled better lime notes in fragrances before? Yeah, absolutely. Specifically a Cartier. But in this fragrance, it doesn't smell overly natural, but it's in there, it's noticeable, and it actually gives a pleasant and unconventional opening to this fragrance. Now, like I said, I do detect a little bit of like a salty nuance in the opening as well, and other than that, the strongest note in this composition is by far, hands down, the note of melon. Some kind of melon note. I don't know if it's cantaloupe or honeydew or what, but it does have like this melony type vibe to it, which kind of reminds me of fragrances like Adam Levine for men. It reminds me of Power by 50 Cent. It reminds me of a lot of like celebrity fragrances, almost like it's been done before. But I like how they use different notes, or they try to use different notes to really make it stand out and make it a fragrance all on its own. Now, I think, of course, there is also the note of coconut. I think it's a secondary note. I don't think it has too dominant of a presence, especially not like the melon note does. I think the melon note is the star player for the entire composition of this fragrance. I know they have notes like freesia, and I think cedarwood and cypress. There's nothing green about this fragrance. There's nothing particularly woody about it either. It just smells like melon with a little bit of salt, a little bit of citrus that dies out, of course, after like 15-20 minutes. And then that's it. You're kind of like left with this melon note. Of course, in the opening, you do smell the perfumer's alcohol, so that could kind of give one the impression that it contains this tequila note that it purportedly contains. Nothing about it smells alcoholic-y or boozy, or it resembles that of like an alcoholic spirit that you would drink or that you would use in the mixing of a cocktail or a beverage. I don't really get too much of that. And I think that this fragrance is a classic example of deceptive marketing. You know, they really embellish the notes in the note pyramid by using these adjectives and really making it sound so desirable. And that's initially why I really wanted to try this fragrance. The marketing really got through to me. You hear crushed sugar being used as a note, and it's definitely sweet. There is a sweetness to it, but coconut water, white freesia, tequila cocktail, juicy melon. You think to yourself, wow, you know, it sounds so good. You smell it, it's a salty melon with a little bit of sweetness in the background. It doesn't really smell like a margarita. It doesn't really smell like an alcoholic drink. Would this be a fragrance that I would wear while I'm having an alcoholic drink? Yeah, absolutely. Does it resemble the drink per se? Not too much. I don't think so. I think this is a really nice fragrance. I know they were going for like summertime, being on the beach, hanging out with good friends, perhaps like a campfire nearby, just, you know, having a good time, drinking alcohol. You know, yeah, maybe I would probably wear this fragrance to such an occasion, but does it remind me of that when I smell it? No, not really. You know, maybe just eating melon in the summer. So I think it's a great fragrance. I think it doesn't smell overly natural. I don't think it does anything too unique. But I really want to address the fact that it also does bear a lot of similarities to the original CK1. And there's something mildly floral about this fragrance. And I do want to disclose that before I move on. When you look at the original, the reason why it bears so many resemblances to Chrome and why it comes across so clean and fresh smelling is because it contains, I believe, lily of the valley, but also jasmine. So those two notes give it like this clean floral type of a feel. And with every CK1 summer, at least the ones that I've smelled, you can smell that CK1 DNA in the background. And I can definitely smell it in this. Of course, it's done in a different way. You know, it has like a different opening, or it's embellished or ornate in different ways, but you definitely get that CK1 vibe in the background. So, of course, I want you to keep that in mind. It's just a different interpretation or a different take on CK1, but it's a solid scent nonetheless, I think it's a great smell. In terms of receiving compliments from this fragrance or complaints, you're much more likely to get a compliment. My girlfriend loves this fragrance. She actually said that she wouldn't mind smelling this or wearing this herself. She's actually a huge fan of coconut, and it's a noticeable coconut, even though it does play a secondary role and the melon is really dominant in this fragrance. She said she wants to wear it herself. It really does have a pleasant smell about it. If you've ever smelled fragrances like Coney Island by Bond No. 9 and Set Sail St. Bart's by Tommy Bahama, this fragrance is a cross of those two fragrances, except it's definitely nowhere near as salty as either one of those two fragrances, especially Coney Island. So it's definitely a fragrance that will get you a compliment. Perfect, fun, uplifting, energizing, you know, mildly citrusy but fruity type of a fragrance that really puts you in a positive and optimistic mindset. And I think that that's what makes this fragrance a really, really good one. Not one of my favorites, but definitely a great fragrance for the summer. So that was it for the smell. Last up, we have the rating. Thanks for watching. First up, we have uniqueness and overall smell, and I'm going to give this fragrance a 6 out of 10. It borders on a 7 out of 10. I'm going to stay with a firm 6 just because this fragrance, it does have a lot of that CK1 DNA in the background, and I feel as if one of the two were to go down in the books as a classic, it would be the original, not the flanker. But nevertheless, this is a solid scent. It's not entirely unique just because it does have some of that CK1 DNA, plus this whole tequila, margarita, you know, boozy cocktail type of a thing has been done in fragrances before. Many fragrances, actually, many of which I own. And this fragrance, it doesn't seem like a very solid interpretation. Like I said, it comes across more as deceptive marketing than anything else, but a solid scent nonetheless. I'm gonna go with a 6 out of 10, and I actually look forward to wearing this fragrance in the summer. I think it's a really good fragrance for that. Next up, we have longevity. I gave it a 6 out of 10 as well. This does last on my skin 6 to 7 hours. On a good day, I have gotten 10 hours, but usually 6 is average. This is an eau de toilette concentration, so really let that speak for itself. Next up, we have projection. I gave this fragrance a 5 out of 10. On my skin, this does project pretty well. Of course, it's kind of spotty in the projection department. It'll project pretty well for like an hour to 2 hours. Then it starts to sit closer to the skin. I don't feel as though this fragrance ever really radiates beyond an arm's length. It's not a skin scent either, so it's that happy medium between the two. But I think that the projection on this fragrance is actually pretty average. I don't think it's excellent, and I don't think it's below average, so right in the middle. And then next up, we have versatility. I gave this an 8 out of 10. First of all, yeah, I do think this is a unisex fragrance. That's one thing that the original CK1 really had going for it. The fact that it is a unisex fragrance. It's one of the first unisex fragrances on the market, especially a popular one at that. So yeah, I think it's totally unisex. I think in terms of occasion, it would be more for like a night out, more casual. I think semi-formal too. If you're going to dress up formal, I would probably choose to wear something with a little bit more citrus in it, maybe a little bit more pronounced in the woods section, something a little bit more refined. This definitely doesn't have a classy feel to it. It's more playful in that sense, so I would stick to those social scenarios, and I think it's perfect for spring and summer, but I suppose this could work on a warmer fall day. But yeah, I mean, it has summer in the name, so just keep that in mind. This is a summer fragrance, and I think it works really well for that. And in terms of age range, I really think anybody can wear it. It has a youthful characteristic, but at the same time, it can be worn by an adult. Maybe it's the whole marketing getting to me. You know, as a kid, you're not going to drink alcohol or anything like that, so in my mind it's kind of like made for an adult, but I really do feel like anybody can wear this fragrance. So this is a solid 8 out of 10 in versatility. And then last up, we have the presentation. I think the presentation is just okay. Nothing really to, you know, nothing really that catches my interest. I ended up giving it a 6 out of 10, and then I'm gonna go ahead and give this fragrance an overall rating of a 6 out of 10. It's a solid scent, it's good, it's above average. I don't think it's anything too great, but for the price point, it's something worth picking up, especially if you don't have too many fragrances in your collection. You're really looking for a good fragrance for the summer, and you like the smell of melons and whatnot. This is a perfect fragrance, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. That was my review of CK1 Summer 2014. If you own or have tried this fragrance, please let me know what you think by leaving a comment down below. Also, please don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to shoot me a message. I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. So again, thank you so much for watching. This has been Steven with another fragrance review from Redolessence. Take care.